I get to have you here with me. Oh my goodness. I think this is only like the second episode that we're recording together that people will see or hear. The first one was just audio.
Yes.
When we were interviewing my friend Jordan.
Yes.
And then we filmed another one that would have been fantastic content. And I still have that on a card somewhere.
Uh-huh. Yep.
But, man.
We're in person.
Yeah. So, I did my update last week of all of the things for me for 2024. And it was just going to make sense if we each had our own.
Yeah.
So now this
Otherwise, it would have been like a Joe Rogan 3-hour podcast.
Oh my gosh. And really, and like, that doesn't count, like, the back and forth Discord. That's like one of us just...
Yeah. Going straight through, and then the other one going straight through.
Yeah.
It would have been insane.
It would have been wild. So, best way to do it was just I do a 2024 update, you do a 2024 update, and then we can move on with our lives.
Regular scheduling after this.
Yeah.
More normal stuff. So, yeah, that's what the goal today is, catching up on the year. And let me tell you guys, it was strange to go through the calendar and try to think about, how do I condense this down even to an hour and a half? I'm going to try to do less than an hour and a half, okay? But trying to pick, okay, what's the highlights of January? We did a lot of things in January starting 2024, and then working your way through the rest of the year and trying to, like, nutshell it. So I apologize because that was really hard for me, like, to choose what are you gonna highlight. I guess what I'll start with is, I don't quite remember where we left off in 2023 and how much I talked about it, but Chris had a very difficult job change that ended up bleeding into a lot of parts of our life and was very stressful. And so we are just very fresh coming off of that in 2024. And it involved his job, it involved our church, it involved friendships and relationships. We started a whole new church journey. We've been doing home church since then, which is a big change for me. And probably won't talk about that a whole lot this episode, just that we were in a lot of flux in 2024. Like, lots of things have been different for us that were staples in our life before. So a lot of 2024 felt like us finding our feet again. And lots of recitation of truth to ourselves, so we aren't just stuck in negativity of what had happened, and reinforcing relationships that were safe and stable.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of, I felt like, 2024 emotionally, for me especially. But actually going through the months in January, we had a fun month. So, you know, the Narnia series. So, like, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Horse and His Boy, all of those. I've loved those forever, and we introduced the kids to them in 2023. We actually finished reading all the way through the series in 2023. In 2024, there's a production group that does life-size puppets in a show, and it sounds really weird.
It looked really weird. I didn't see it. I just saw pictures, and I saw pictures of, like, this 8-foot tall horse.
Yeah.
It looked terrifying.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. So the one that they did was The Horse and His Boy, and if you got tickets, they were showing the play? I don't know what to call it. I guess it's a play. At the Ark. It's not a museum, it's just the Ark is what I call it. The Ark Encounter. That's what it's called. And so we went there for the show, and straight from there came to the Smiths. And was chased by snow the entire way. Which, we're bringing snow again.
Every time, it never fails. for the last 4 or 5 years.
Shane and I were counting it up. I think this is the 4th year.
Yeah. Every single time that they have visited in January, it has never ever failed that it snows.
And when it's not supposed to.
3 years ago, according to my Facebook, you guys actually got stuck with me.
We did, which was great. Well, and wasn't that the year that we ended up with no power and we used the heater in the living room?
The electricity went out. It was wild, man. Oh my gosh.
So yeah, we continued the tradition in 24 and brought snow with us to the Smiths.
And in 25.
Yeah, now we're in 25 and we have snow again. It's actively snowing right now.
Yeah. I don't appreciate it. But what am I going to do other than smile?
It's better than last year, though. Last year, we almost didn't make it out. Like, it was a lot of snow and ice last year. But the roads are still pretty clear this year, hopefully.
Yeah.
My oldest turned 12 in 2024, and he will be turning 13 tomorrow. Tomorrow. And I have lots of feelings about that, and I don't know quite what to talk about with that. I'm just like, that's happening. It's a thing.
We're down to hours left of him being a preteen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because him and I are both very conflicted about it. And I think he's even more, like, negative about it than I am. So he's already big for his age. Like, he's gigantic for his age. He continually gets confused for a 14 or 15-year-old, and he's 12. And that's been his whole 12-year-old year, is being confused for a much older teenager. And that's not fun when you're 12 and you just want to be 12. And you still enjoy climbing trees, and he got a crossbow this year, and hunting, and just hanging out outside and being a boy. So it's harder. It's almost harder on him than it is on me, but that's not totally true either. So that was January. With the tickets that we got for the play, we also got a chance to use those tickets. It was like a 2-day pass, and we could choose either the Ark or the Creation Museum for our second day. And we chose to go to the Creation Museum the second day, and we went on one of the coldest days in January, and we almost had the run of the place to ourselves. It was us, one other family, and a couple of couples that were there during the day. And I was really impressed because the last time I had been there, not that things were run down, but there was a lot of exhibits that were getting ready to change out, and they have all of those updated and new now. And so it was neat because I was thinking this is going to be boring for me because I've been here a few times, but I haven't been in years. So there was probably over half of the museum was completely different from the last time that I had been there. Have you been?
Yeah.
Okay.
I went early spring.
Like this
last year.
Okay, 24. I know, we're in 25.
We've not had spring this year.
It's still 24, okay? We decided that this is the free trial of 25, so we're still technically in 24. We're not officially accepting 2025 yet. We want to see what happens before we say, okay, fine, we're going into this year, instead of just recycling some other year. Although if I was going to recycle a year, it'd probably be like a 90s year.
So since we're on this topic, I've seen on TikTok.
TikTok drama.
I saw on TikTok where it was like, do you know the last time the calendar for the year started WTF? 2020. There was a couple of other things that was like, I think the moon phases and something else lined up the beginning of this year and the beginning of 2020, and they were like, we're not ready, y'all.
Okay, my hope with that is not that we're going to get a repeat of 2020, but that we get to, like, do it over right.
A redo? Yeah.
Like, this is our redo. Please don't screw it up, people. Like, everybody walk in quiet, nice and slow. We're not opening any tombs.
Don't scare it.
We're not opening any tombs. We're not taking out any artifacts. We're leaving the one-eyed giant priestesses alone. Have you seen that?
I mean, there's a whole discussion about the Pope, but that's a whole other...
Oh, we don't want to go to the Pope. Not today.
You want to talk about opening things, I'm just saying. He made a weird decision.
True. So, in February, we went to the Maple Syrup Festival, which is one of our traditions. It's fun to have, like, these traditions that mark our year that we get to do every year. And we've seen all the things that there is to see at the Maple Syrup Festival. But we still enjoy going every year. Like, it's still something we look forward to and have a good time at. Because Ed turned 12, I'm going to get controversial with some of our Christian audience. I'm sorry. We decided that when he turned 11, he could read the first Harry Potter book. And then after he's read the book, he can watch the movie. And then we're going to wait till he's 12 for the second book and 13 for the third book, because that's how Chris and I experienced them when they came out. And they do get more intense and darker as the books go on. So he got to read the second book, and we had a Harry Potter watch party with my sister and nephews and a couple of his friends. And he had a good time with that.
For the record, I'm anti-Harry Potter, so...
We can still be friends about and disagree.
Yeah, like, that's just how it is.
Yeah. Which is fine. Like, that's cool. But we got to have that in February, so he really enjoyed that. We had butterbeer shakes. I made they have these, like, chocolate frogs, so I made chocolate frogs for him with the molds of different flavors. We had Jelly Bellies with Bertie Bott's mixed in, so you didn't know which ones you were getting. Just had a really fun time with it. It was great. Let's see. We also started some of our forest school and play days kind of back up again at that time. And I think we talked about it in an episode with the Humphrey guy who was like, what are these levels of fun?
Alistair Humphreys.
That's it.
I love him.
Yes. And I loved those forest schools in February because they were like that challenging level of fun where you were having fun, but there were difficulties with it. Mm-hmm. Like, it was cold. We had to keep the fire going. We realized we didn't wear enough socks. But looking back on it, we're all like, that was a blast. Mm-hmm. We had an absolutely fantastic time. What helped was there was food. We actually made popcorn over the campfire, which was so cool.
Yeah.
And we brought hot drinks and things like that. Totally helped the reflection of it be much more fun, I think. So in March, sadly, Evie was sick, which means we missed Eli's adoption party.
Yes, like, she got sick as you were loading the van. Yes. I remember that, because I was under the table crying.
Yes.
That was mentioned in mine.
Yes. So, we started off March that way. It came in like a lion, not like a lamb.
Yeah.
And thankfully it was a short sickness. Like, she wasn't sick for a long time. And we had a good, like, mommy-daughter weekend where we just got to chill. We watched some movies. And then we had a week of normal, and then Chris got sick after that. So March was like the month of people getting sick. And then we already had started, I was looking at my calendar, we started 4-H stuff in March last year. Because Evie started her dog obedience lessons in March with Ember, which I didn't realize we were doing it for so long before 4-H actually happened. But it was good because she needed the lessons. Like, that needed to happen. Then I also started my garden seeds and my flower seeds in March, which was very exciting for me. It's like the highlight of my year when I get to, like, pretend like this is going to be the year. All gardeners, you cannot convince me otherwise, we all have a shared delusion that this is going to be the year. This is going to be the year of the perfect garden. I'm going to get to grow all the flowers I want. I've figured out my bug problems. I'm not going to let the weeds take over. The ground is going to be perfect. This is going to be the year. I'm going to can all my vegetables that I wanted to can. And we can be at the very end of our garden season and it's an abysmal failure. Like, the weeds could have completely taken over, and we're already planning next year with the intentions that next year is going to be the year. Like, eternally, almost toxically optimistic. Have you noticed that? Like, we're already just like, yes, let's go. I'm already collecting all of my seed catalogs because I need to order a lot of fresh seed this year Like, a lot of my seed is just getting too old. And so I'm just like, it's time to order.
And I feel like you've done that historically during your January visit. Like, you've brought your catalogs and you've been planning and prepping to order when you got home or on the way home.
Yep. And I haven't done that yet this trip because I'm waiting on a magazine that I really want to order from. And it's not come in yet because, sorry, this is totally tangent material, you guys. I want a different green bean to grow. Because I have grown the same green bean since we've been growing a garden, and it's jade green beans. They're a bush, stringless green bean that we use to can. I love them. They taste fantastic. They can up great. But the last 3 years, they will not germinate for me. It doesn't matter where I get the seed from. I've bought it from 4 different companies, and it does not germinate. I have to replant it like 3 times every time for the last 3 years. So I'm going to try 2 new varieties and see if I can find one that's more reliable. And then I'm going to try to track them, like, okay, they went into these jars, and label them and see how they can up and if we actually like them. My mom adores Romas and Romas too, her and Dad both. I just don't like them. They germ really well, like they grow really well, they produce really well, they fill up a jar really fast. They're just more fibrous or something to me, and I don't like them as much. Anyway, sorry. That was March. I told you this is going to be long. In April, Ed started his shooting sports classes, so driving to 2 things now. We're driving to dog obedience and shooting sports. I decided to accept the position as dairy barn supervisor for 4-H because this is the first year, 2024 was the first year we've had dairy back at the fair for, I think it was like 4 or 6 years. I can't remember which. We just didn't have any kids taking dairy for that amount of time. And when they found out that my kids were interested in taking dairy, they're like, hey, we don't have a dairy barn supervisor. And actually, we don't have a dairy barn anymore. The dairy barn got turned into the pig barn. So we're in the beef barn, which is fine because we didn't have a lot of animals this year. But we're going to try to figure out something for next year. We continued, like I said, with dog obedience, and we started adding agility in as well. Because Ember does both. She does dog obedience and agility. And I really wanted to get Garden out, but it was soaked. Do you remember that? Like, we got so much rain in April, so much rain in May, and then we ended up with a drought through the rest of the summer.
I didn't pay attention. You'd think with the weatherman, like...
Well, he's more vested, I guess. So that was April. May, we started out with a Mother's Day camping weekend.
Yes.
Which was like that Alistair Humphreys level, whatever it is, 3 fun. Because looking back on it, I'm like, okay, yeah, this was cool. This was a good thing to do. We had a good time. We were with good people. I got to hear an owl while we were camping, which I totally nerded out about. I was very excited. But then I'm like, I'm cooking all of the meals and keeping all of the, like, track of all of the things, and we're packing up and tearing down and all of those things on Mother's Day weekend. So that was a mixed bag. In May, we also got to do my youngest sister Hannah's fitting for her dress and start doing all of the prep work for her wedding, which her and her now husband, because we're in 25, they're suited for each other so well. And so it was me and Mom and my sister Beth and Hannah, and we got to all go do her picking out her dress and her initial fitting, and the girls got to come with me later when we did her second fitting, and they just loved that. They thought that was just the coolest thing ever. And then we did an experiment with our chickens because I didn't have the budget that year to order more chicks in. Usually I order chicks early in the year, once a year. We order in a few more laying birds, and the kids have breeds that are just pets that they enjoy having around. And that wasn't in the budget this year. So we had some really good roosters and some really good hens that we liked, and we decided to
I don't think I
hatch some
realized.
off.
I don't think I realized you did roos.
We have 2 roos that we kept because one of them is a Welsomer, so his chicks should lay really dark brown eggs. And then we have another rooster who's a blue egg layer, and his chicks should lay either blue or olive eggs depending on who their mothers are. So we have 2 roosters.
I'm so glad I didn't know that before I was eating eggs. I have sworn off any fresh eggs that could have been fertilized.
Yeah.
Thanks for not telling me until now.
We had eggs for breakfast. If it makes you feel better, they were Costco eggs because our chickens are loafers right now and not laying eggs.
That's just a conspiracy theory rabbit hole.
I want to hear why you don't want eggs that have been fertilized at some point, or have the possibility of being fertilized. I know why I'm careful. Like, I've had some traumatic experiences with eggs that were left too long and not gathered appropriately.
Yeah, so I've heard so many stories of people who have went to crack an egg that had been fertilized. And you could tell.
Or like they found a chick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, I don't want to get too graphic, but like blood and things like that.
Yep.
And so I swore that any fresh eggs I eat will be from farms that don't have roos. Well.
I mean, I cracked the eggs for you, so it would have been traumatic for me, not for you. And I wouldn't have fed you ones that had chicks in them.
Still the idea.
Still the potential.
Yeah.
The potential of it happening. So, and we like the roosters that we have, that they're good roos. And the girls have their little rooster projects that they want to have more chicks from. We started some under a broody silky. But, I'll talk about it in a minute. We did full-size eggs and banty eggs in the same hatch, which I learned later we should not have done. But, like I said, it was an experiment. We're learning. Continued 4-H stuff. The other thing that happened in May, and I want to talk to you about possibly doing a whole episode on this process since we seem to be mostly on the other side of it. We had a eye doctor checkup for Tori in May because of her Lyme disease. So one of the ways you can see the progression of nerve damage is through eye doctor appointments, which you know about, because that's one of the ways that you can actually see a nerve in the body and how healthy it looks, basically. So they would dilate her eyes so that they can see the nerve behind her retina in her eye, and they keep track of it. They also keep track of her vision, because when she was first diagnosed with Lyme disease, she had Bell's palsy. Like, the whole half of her face went numb. We were here for part of that time when we were still trying to scramble and figure out what was going on. When that half of her face went numb, her vision also changed dramatically on that side. So I'm really thankful for our eye doctor, because he's like, I don't want to do any intervention until you have the Lyme under control and we see how her nerves heal, basically. So praise God, her vision is completely back to normal now.
Good.
It's completely back to where she was before. She was diagnosed with Lyme. Nerve health looks great. Retina health looks great. All of the things are back to where they should be. For a long time, we were also watching on that side. When she gets tired, she'll have a bit of a eyelid droop. And that seems to have resolved in about the last 6 months. We're still watching it because it's still a place where if she has a flare, that's one of the first places it will show, is in her eyelid droop. So that was good news. Everything looks good. She's actually finally at the point where he's like, I don't need to see her for a year. Like, unless something happens, I think we're at the point we don't need to see her for a year. So, It's been a whole learning curve with the Lyme adventure. So, she was first diagnosed Was that 2022?
I don't remember. It's been a while.
I feel like she was diagnosed in 2022. I'm pretty sure it was in October, and so it was a full 2 years. Now we're on 3 from then. So I think that's right. In June, there was lots of 4-H prep. Thankfully, my kids don't take as many projects as I took in 4-H, or we would just never get it done. Like, it wouldn't be possible. So we did posters, we did finish prep with calves, we were breaking calves to lead, we were washing chickens, which is not a fun thing to do, making sure that all of their meat pen chickens were fattened up, and making sure all of their record sheets were done, that they've had all of their meetings. So there was lots of 4-H work in June. Also, the chicks I talked about hatched, and only the Banty eggs hatched, not the regular eggs. We researched and found out Banty eggs have about a 1.5 to 2 days less incubation time than standard eggs. So even if the hen was turning them at the same rate and all of those things, she would have given up on them before they hatched. So we only got Banty chicks off of that hatch, which we're learning. It's okay. And we finally got garden planted in June, which feels so late. It's the latest garden I think I ever got out, was getting it out in June. But it's out. And we had some good tomatoes this year because it was a drought after we planted it, and so there was no mold or fungus or anything like that to take them down. Let's see. So July, 4-H was a success. It was great. We had our first dairy show at the county, and the girls did fantastic. Ed did great in his projects too, but the girls were the ones taking dairy. And Edie got reserve grand champion and was just completely over the moon. And she did great with Ember in the obedience. Ed did great with his shooting sports. Tori took her cat this year, and the cat show is always the funniest thing. It's just so unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen.
I didn't even know there was cats.
Yes.
In 4-H.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's so worth it to watch. Because you have some cats who are just like lovey and think it's great, and then you have some cats who refuse to get out of their carrier, and you have some cats that are like completely furious with the judge, like, you can't touch me, you're not my human. Yeah, it's very entertaining. Even if you don't have someone in it, it's worth it to go watch. So she had the cat. Eb and Tori had chickens. They had their posters. Everybody except Eb got to go to State Fair with one project or another this year. It was his first year not going to State Fair with a project, but he was cool. He was still chill about it. So yeah, July was that, and then of course I got sick right after.
Yes.
Because I pushed so hard that week that the week after I got sick and I hurt my back.
Yeah, I remember the back. I didn't remember the sick. I did remember the back.
Yeah, I did both. That was fun. It was an interesting week. We also went to the Smiths again in July, and Evie started violin at the end of July. So she's been wanting to take music lessons for a long time now. She's been interested in harp. She's been interested in violin. We don't have anyone around us who teaches harp. Like, it's going to be at least a 2-hour drive to get to someone who could teach her harp. And I was like, this just isn't realistic. But I told her if she can pay for at least part of her violin lessons, then we can try violin, because we have actually 2 hand-me-down violins that we've gotten from either aunts and uncles or friends that have given them to us. So with 4-H, you get to sell things in auction. Children made out like bandits. Like, everybody's kids did really well when they auction at 4-H. Like, the donors and the buyers are so generous. And it enables these kids to do things that they wouldn't get to do otherwise. And so what she gets to do with her money is she paid for her first 2 months of violin lessons. And then one of her grandmas found out how much she liked it, and she has taken over paying for her lessons.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Mama has taken over paying for Evie's lessons. And she's like, you invested into it and you're interested in it, and so as long as you're taking it, I am going to pay for your lessons.
Okay.
So she's loving it. I love it too. Like, it's just been so fun to watch her do that. So that was July. August was finally pool weather, which I love because we have a couple of friends with pools, and so we got to do that with them. And we have some friends who have little, like, canoes. So we had a couple of river days as well, where we went down to the Ohio and we got to paddle around some of the creeks and out just a little bit on one of the bays that come out of the Ohio. And it was just nice to be in the water. I was like, yes, please, we will go. Anytime you invite us, we will go to the pool days. Yes, please. My nephew's football started in August. So we got to go, yay, football, and start all of those.
Love football, man.
I love watching kid football. It is so much fun. My sister was talking about how in the course of this fall, they ended up going to a high school football game. And she's like, this just isn't as fun. They're too smooth. They're too, like, polished in their moves and stuff. She's like, give me the little, like, munchkins going crazy, like, after it. Like, that's the best time to watch football. And it really is. They're so fun. My oldest nephew, this is his second year. And to see the difference in him from first year to second year has been really cool, too. Like, to see how much he's improved. He is very much the defensive, gonna stop the ball, gonna stop the people running, like blocking them, and just nails it. And like loves to tackle. That is his just passion, is to get in a good tackle. So him, and then my younger nephew, it was his first year. He's so fast. Like, there's a few kids on the team that are fast, but he's like, boom, just running and finding holes, and like he's just so fast, and it was fun to see him. And them to have something together. Like, they're not on the same age teams, so they're two separate teams, but they are both like going to practice together and have the same goal and something to talk about. It's been fun to watch that through the fall. We went to State Fair to see the kids' projects. That's something that we try to prioritize. If they have a project at State Fair, we're going to go see it. And so thankful for the Purdue Extension Agency, because if you have a project at State Fair, or a sibling has a project at State Fair, the whole family gets free tickets from the extension agent.
Oh, wow.
And it was a big boom this year, because we would have been pushed hard to make it for tickets for all 5 of us to get to go, plus you eat up there, and the drive up there, all those things. So we had a good day at the State Fair as well. And in August, we had AJ's wedding.
Yes, we've not mentioned that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you guys remember, if you've been here for a while,
like from the beginning.
the beginning, season 1, we interviewed our friend AJ, who they had been friends with since college. Core member of the group.
Yeah.
We found out July-ish that
was it July?
It was June, late June, early July-ish.
I feel like it was late June, yeah.
I remember being at the water park, and Shane and Eli had gone to do something, get food or something, and when they came back, Shane was like, "What is wrong?" And I was like, "There's a ring. There's not a question, but there's a ring somewhere in this apartment."
Yep.
And then we were in Pigeon Forge. You weren't. We were in Pigeon Forge.
I should have been in Pigeon Forge.
Yes. Because we, ironically enough, we went to the same water park that we were at when we found out there was a ring. My kid sees it. He's excited about it. He's, let's go swim. Let's go do all the things. And they all but kicked us out because of the weather. They were like, yeah, we're going to close early. You can come in, but you're not going to get a refund. You'll be here less than an hour.
Yeah, you tried and tried and tried to go to that water park all summer.
Yeah.
And I don't think you ever did. You never got to use your tickets.
Once.
But you had tickets to go again, and you didn't never get to
we
use them.
Yeah, we didn't get to use those. And we tried to go there. We are in the middle of 2 water parks. Mm-hmm. The other water park was going to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. They were going to close down too. And
so we were just like, okay, it's a bust. It is what it is. We're just going to go. Mm-hmm. And we hear Eli watching a video on his iPad in the back seat that is, water parks are so much fun. And Shane's like, I can't. Because he, like, as we're leaving, he can still see the slides, and he's pointing and like, but I wanted to go. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's right there. Let's just go in there. Mm-hmm. And so we did a spontaneous trip to Gatlinburg, actually. We never do Gatlinburg. Mm-hmm. But we found a hotel that had a pool. And while we were there, we got a phone call, and it was AJ. And he's like, hey, Shane, do you know anybody that might be interested in being a best man for, like, this wedding?
Yep. This thing coming up really soon.
In less than a month.
Yeah, really soon. We don't have a date yet, but it's going to be really soon.
Well, at that point, I think we did have. Well, at least we had when we got the phone call.
Yeah.
We knew it was going to be the end of August.
Yeah.
And Shane was like, yeah. And then he's like...
Took a minute.
Wait a second.
Took a minute.
He's like, that's less than a month.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have met enjoy the bride thoroughly. Yes. Fantastic person. Perfect match. So excited for them.
Our sons call each other their best friends. It's adorable. Like, they've got to hang out with each other one weekend, 2 days. Just a few hours each time.
Yeah. And
as we were leaving that day, their son was like, Eli's my best friend.
I love it.
And then Eli is talking about him like, I want to go play with my best friend. Can we go to the train museum again and see my best friend?
Yeah. So we got to celebrate with them at the end of August, and it was just lovely. I'm just so excited for them.
Yeah.
Absolutely over the moon. In September, you guys, there's so much stuff. Like, not bad stuff, just I was trying to make the list, and I was like, okay, you can see on here, all of these lines are my condensed September list.
I can help with this.
You can help with this.
You got to see me.
I got to see you.
Most important part.
I did get to see you.
You saw me?
No, it wasn't the last time I saw you that year.
No.
Because then we did October, and then we did November, too. I was thinking of November. I got to see you. And what?
It may have been at a minor family event. But I was we showed up at this town in Indiana, and you got to see me.
We came to see you.
The whole family.
The whole thing. So the whole family went to see the Smiths because that was also when my youngest sister got married, and they happened to be the photographers and videographers for the wedding.
See, everyone came to see me.
Everyone came to see you. And party, too.
Yeah.
We had a party on top of it. So we got to have my youngest sister and her husband's wedding, and I'm just pumped for them. They're
very sweet.
They're going to be a good match. They are a good match. Mm-hmm. They're already a match. But
she was just the sweetest, most humble bride that I've ever seen. Like, at one point,
very easy bride.
At one point, I had to tell her, like, you can have an opinion.
Yes.
You should.
Yes.
Have an opinion. Like, what do you want?
Yes.
Was said so many times.
Yes.
What do you want?
Doesn't matter what we want. Doesn't matter what they want. What do you want?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And she's just genuinely a very content person.
Yeah.
Like, in her life. And so that's part of her personality coming out in her wedding, is she is a very content person. So it doesn't surprise me that you had to, like, pull out of her, what do you want? Like, what do you want this to look like? So I completely, like, loved her choice of flowers. She had sunflowers for her wedding, and it was very pretty. And, yeah, it was fun. And then also in September, There's just so many things in September. I helped Mom and Dad milk, which I've been doing annually for the last 3 years now. And we take that milk, and I get to do lots of fun things with it. And it's not the whole herd, usually. This year it was a lot more cows, so it turned out different than the last few years. Normally it's 1 or 2 cows max, and that's how much milk we have to work with once a day. This year it was more like 15 cows, I think. I might be saying it wrong. So I did not milk by myself. I shared milking with Mom and Dad, but I did give them some extended days off through that process. And we made so much butter. So much butter. I kid you not, we probably made close to 30 to 40 pounds of butter. I did not keep track. We put it in the deep freezer. We've already eaten it all.
I was about to ask where that butter is now.
We've already eaten it all. Like, it's been gone a month.
You made it 2 months on 30 pounds of butter.
That sounds awful when you say that out loud like that. Like, I didn't skimp. I gave some of it as gifts. Like, we did. We were generous with it.
I think we got some.
We sent some with you guys. We sent some with some other friends. We sent some to Mom and Dad. But still, it was a lot of butter. What?
I just realized I am deeply offended right now in this moment.
Okay.
Do you know what I did not get this year? Once?
What did you get this year?
Butter pecan.
Oh, I didn't. I didn't make ice cream. Oh, sorry. July next year. Because it's got to be hot to have butter pecan.
Okay.
So, backstory, I finally mastered a butter pecan recipe for homemade ice cream, and it's gorgeous.
So good.
It's gorgeous. Because I was trying to make an ice cream recipe that I could freeze without it turning into a rock. Because if anybody has made homemade ice cream and then tried to freeze it, it turns into a rock. Like, every single time, and you can't scoop it or you melt the whole thing. Anyway, I figured it out. I cracked it. And I haven't made any in ages.
Wonderful.
I haven't made any in ages. So when I make some, I will put one on. It says Amanda on it, just for you. So, September, butter, wedding. Ed got his first deer that he's ever shot in September in youth season. That was a fun adventure. We have a friend who thankfully has a cooler, and we were able to age it because I found out that I actually like to eat deer if it has hung, like aged for a little while before it's finished processing. It's not as gamey. So we were able to get it aged for a little while in our friend's cooler. He's so proud. He is like, hey Mom, you want to have a venison roast tonight? That sounds good, right? And I'm like, yes, that sounds perfect. Let's have a venison roast tonight. Tori began playing guitar in September. She picked that up on her own. She used her auction money to buy her own guitar. She started out with ukulele and tried out the guitar at the music lessons where we're going for Evie, and decided she really liked that. And so she got her guitar, and she is paying for half of her lessons, and I'm paying for the other half of her lessons. And I hurt myself again. That seems to be the theme this year. And had a bunch of chiropractor appointments. And we started co-op. And we went to something called Colonial Market Days in northern Indiana. Oh, I loved it. It was so good. We've heard good things about it for a couple of years from some friends that go up. And it was a long drive, but it was so worth it. We had such a good time. That everyone there is reenacting colonial era. And so in costume, telling you about the ways that they would live their life day in and day out. They had oxen there, which was really fun for me to see. They still had their horns, and you could go up and see them and watch them pull wagons and stuff. Stuff for sale, reenacting of battles. It was just really neat. I highly recommend if you have a chance to go to Colonial Market Days in Indiana. Totally worth it. October, more football. Football. I think that we made it to all but one of their home games this year.
Good.
So that was really fun. I'm glad that was like, I wanted to be there for them, especially since both of them were going to be playing. And we got to a lot more games this year than we did last year. We also got to do the Ohio Renaissance Festival. It was so fun. I loved it. I've been wanting to go to the Ohio one for probably 3 or 4 years. And just the timing hasn't worked out, or we've already gone to the one in Kentucky, which is a smaller one, which is still really good. Mm-hmm. But this year we got to go with another family to the Ohio one, and it was fantastic. If you go, do not try to do everything in one day. You could spend an entire day just seeing the shows, and you still would not see all the shows. You could spend an entire day just trying to look at the shops, and you would not see all the shops. They have these like jousting tents for the kids where they can practice sword fighting and jousting with like the replica weapons. They have archery. They have fully armored knights that you can watch have battles, and then some of the times you can go in and try on their armor, which was, Ed was just in love. He was like, Mom, this is so cool. So much food, and it was really fun. I feel like the Renaissance festivals always have a very inclusive and happy atmosphere to them. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you still have to have discernment. I think there are some genuine practicing, like Wiccans there, I'm sure. But most of the people are just there to dress up and have a great time. Mm-hmm. And we had a great time, had fun, ate lots of fun food. We also came to Shane and Amanda's for Halloween. And sadly, Chris did not get to come.
No. There
was multiple times where we had to tag team this year with our trips because of the job change and the lack of PTO. And
illnesses.
And illnesses. There was a lot of tag teaming this year for travel and events and things like that. Mm-hmm. Also, October, which might end up being a whole podcast, is when Amanda dropped a bomb on me. A good bomb, in a way, but still dropped a bomb on me.
I still occasionally feel guilty about it.
I don't think you need to feel guilty about it. I needed to hear it. October was when, start off, I was just feeling general malaise. I felt like I'm kind of depressed, and I don't know why. I shouldn't, this is normally not my time to deal with depression. I do deal with seasonal affective disorder, where I have to be very diligent about my mental health in winter. There are things that I know help, but I was feeling that way in October. And that's not something I usually feel until at least December, mostly. And I was talking to Amanda about it. And Amanda says,
body keeps score.
And it hit me like a ton of bricks. So much stuff has happened over the years in October. Not just that year, but in history, that's the month where a lot of hard things have happened for us.
Just in the 9 years that I've known you, you have had something traumatic almost every year in October.
Yes. So the top two that we recognized then was October is when I lost my baby, when I had my one miscarriage. And now October is when Chris lost his job. And even though we weren't facing an active crisis, my body was like remembering all of those things. Mm-hmm. And I was just blown away. It was a good thing. It helped me cope with it better and be kinder to myself, basically. Mm-hmm. But she just goes, Diana, your body remembers.
Well, you just kept saying, it feels like a seasonal thing. It feels like seasonal, but it's not that season.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I had to remind you, no, this is a very hard season.
Yeah.
It's sunny outside. Mm-hmm. You have warmer days outside and cooler evenings outside. You can go out, but you also have all of this trauma, and your body remembers it, and it's trying to hunker down and protect itself.
Yes. Well, and also, I think there are definitely things that we experience, and okay, I'll rephrase that make it more personal. I experience, and I don't give myself a chance to mourn, and I just push through, and my body is reminding me, hey, this stuff is still here, and you need to deal with it too. Like, I think it's the protection thing for sure, but it's also like, hey, you haven't dealt with this yet. So there was a lot of just trying to be kind to myself after that, and encouraging myself to rest more. Again, I think that could be a whole episode. And then we get to November, and my birthday's on an election day in 2024.
Listen, guys, her father has never been more proud on November 4th as he was November 4th, 2024.
And it wasn't about me. It was not about me. It was not. Love him dearly. I went and I did my civic duty, and then I shut off my phone. I shut off, like, we didn't look at the news. We didn't watch the election. I waited until the next day because I was so anxious.
Yeah.
I was so anxious. I went and I voted. I did my thing, and I was like, I don't want to know the map. I don't want to know the social media comments. I don't want to hear the news, because, like, my mom and dad, they were up all night. They made a party of it. They're like, we are watching. Like, we are going to be here and on this. And I have lots of other friends who were that way. And I was like, it's my birthday. I want to watch Pride and Prejudice and eat ice cream and popcorn.
Yep.
In my new nightgown that makes me feel like a Victorian ghost. And that's what I did. Also, I've decided all of my nightgowns from here on out should make me feel like a Victorian ghost and have pockets.
Yes.
It's the best. It's like these little bits of, like, you know, like, what do they call them? Instead of triggers, it's glimmers. Those nightgowns are glimmers. I love them.
I love granny gowns, man.
I love it. I love it so much. Anyway, total TMI. You didn't need to know about my nightgowns, but now you do. My Victorian ghost gowns. So November was election day and my birthday. We ended up going camping again with a set of friends, and we knew there was a chance it was going to sprinkle, like, overnight. It was possible. But their son had a birthday. We're friends with their family. We were going to get together for his birthday anyway, but we're like, we still haven't gotten our second camping trip in. Let's just make it a weekend. Great first day. Go to bed. Starts raining. By morning, there is a small river running through the bottom of our tent. Praise God we have cots, because if we had been laying on the floor, we would have been laying in the water.
That's why I don't camp.
You should go glamping.
That and the lack. Oh yeah, 100%. Like, I desperately want to be the person who loves to go camping and loves to go hiking. I love the idea.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm going, I'm not sleeping in a tent.
You remind me. Chris's mom, I love her to pieces. She's like, let's do the activities, but get a cabin. Like,
yeah. I'm not even all that sold on all the activities. But, like, set me up a nice RV by the lake.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it. I don't even need an RV. Give me one of the old, like...
The little pop-up campers.
I don't even need that. Give me an old bus or an old van.
Oh, the schoolies.
Like the 90s vans that had the curtains in the windows.
Yes, absolutely. My grandpa had one of those.
That's all I need. I don't need all that. Give me that. I'll take my, what do you call it?
Which thing?
You just pop it up and there's a cover over it. You sit under it.
Like an umbrella?
It's a tent, I guess.
Or like a shelter?
I guess.
Kind of a thing?
But it's like just one of the pop-up things get for like $50 at Walmart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Give me that. I'm good. I don't need to sleep in a tent.
We had fun. The family that we went with, the mom, she's getting really good at campfire cooking. Like, that's one of her goals, is to do more things over the campfire. She bakes bread over the campfire. And what was the other thing she made? Oh, she had these little irons, and we made pies. So, like, you put the dough in, fill it, and then put the dough on top, and you close it, and you cook it over the fire.
She can come to the lake with me.
She would be a great company. She also knits and crochets. So she'd be great company.
Is she the one whose husband thinks, he has to think that I'm like one of the weirdest human beings?
Probably. They're very gracious. I'm sure he doesn't think you're the weirdest human being, but he did look at you kind of odd.
There was the head tilt, and usually when I see a head tilt, and that like, what is she doing?
Anyway, yeah, that's the family. They're great. We have so much fun with them. So they live. Their house is across a creek. You have to cross the creek to get to their house, and they don't have a bridge yet. And so instead of trying to eat in the rain, we were camping on their property. So we just go up to their house and have breakfast and have a great time. And the kids are having fun. So we're inside and we're warm and it's raining. And Chris and her husband go out and they gather up all of our stuff for us. They take the boys and they get it to the car. But then they come in and they're like, we need to leave soon or you're not going to be able to leave. Because their creek will swell when it rains to the point where they're stranded because they can't get across. So they had gotten all of our stuff across, and Dad, that is the friend's dad, I'm not going to say their names because I don't have permission to say their names, but he has a front loader, and the creek had swollen to the point that we could not get across in their side-by-side. We could not get across in our van. We were already parked on the far side anyway. So all of us kids and Chris and Ember, because we had taken Ember with us, with the kids and I are up in the cab, and Chris and Ember are in the bucket, and he carries us across the creek in the front loader, and it was awesome. It's like the best after story to tell. It was hilarious.
Okay, but it honestly kind of sounds like a level 1 fun.
But I don't remember the levels.
I'm pretty sure level 1 was like, it rained, there was nothing fun.
There was fun, actually. We were good. Like, before the rain was fun, and then after the rain, eating pancakes was fun. I didn't have to pack up the tent. It might have been level 1 fun for Chris because he had to go in the rain and pack up the tent and stuff. So it might have been level 1 fun for him. It was like whatever, like the one where hard stuff happened, but we look back on it and it was fun.
I think that's level 2.
Yeah, we had fun during it too, though. Like, it wasn't one of the ones where there was no fun had, and you never want to do it.
You're not allowed to have higher than a level 2 without me.
Okay.
So we're at a level 2 still.
Yes, Amanda. So that was November. Smiths came to us in November. That was when you got weird looks.
Yeah.
But Eli got to see sheep.
Oh my
gosh. He got
gosh.
to ride in the tractor, and he got to see baby calves and walk around in the pen with the baby calves. And Tori introduced him to silky chickens, and just generally had a good trip.
When he found out that you guys were coming this weekend, he was saying like, oh, they're all going to be here. Chris is going to be here, and Banana's going to be here, and all the kids are going to be here. And he said, midnight, Mom, tell them to bring their chicken midnight. Absolutely not. No.
Yeah, Mom's not going to approve that.
No.
He's saying midnight, by the way, and it is a silky, fluffy little ball of a chicken that's like this big, baby. A little fluffy chicken.
He also said that you guys should not come here because he can't play Ring Around the Rosie here because we don't have a trampoline. And either we could go to your house or I could buy a trampoline. And I was like, well, neither of those things are happening today.
Not this trip. Sorry. Not happening this time.
So,
although I do second the trampoline idea. I love our trampoline.
my aunt was an ER nurse in the 90s.
They gotta break a limb somehow.
I'm picking battles because I want an ATV later.
Fair. So, backing up, we decorated your house in Halloween.
Yeah. Halloween.
Because I was like, when did I decorate with you? Because we got our tree and decorated it right after Thanksgiving. That's our tradition, is after Thanksgiving we go get our tree and we decorate it the weekend after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But I was like, I decorated with Amanda before that, and it was Halloween. Also, if you didn't know, in 2024, walking pneumonia is a thing. For our area, anyway. Mm-hmm. It's like 1 in 3 kids that I know got walking pneumonia in the fall. And then Chris got it, which was not fun. So Evie and Chris both went down with it, and we put up our Christmas tree after Thanksgiving, and we filled our freezer up with beef. I love beef, and we filled our freezer up with beef, and it was great. I have some seriously strong depression genes, where when my pantry and my freezer are full, it just satisfies something in my soul. Like, I'm just so content and feel so safe. If I've got a big old pile of firewood and I've got beef in the deep freezer and I've got canned green beans and canned tomatoes, like, I feel good about life. And preferably there's some potatoes in there somewhere. But life feels manageable if we have those things. And we have those things right now, so we're super blessed, like, in a good space. I don't know how long we've been recording.
Me either.
Okay. We're close.
Yeah.
December 2024, which was just last month, but already feels a lot longer ago. We did lots of fun things. We got to go to the Creation Museum to see their lights, which is a fantastic light show. If you're within an easy driving range, all you have to pay is parking. And they always have something a little bit new every year to go see lights. Similar experience, I would say, to going like to the Kentucky Horse Park or the underground lights in Louisville, where you just go and enjoy the lights. They also have snacks and stuff that you can buy on the property. We went to go see Home Alone with the kids for the first time, and there's an old theater in downtown Madison that was doing different Christmas movies like every couple of days in the weekends, all leading up to Christmas, and so they were showing Home Alone, and it was $5 per ticket to get in. We haven't gone to a theater movie in forever because even a matinee is like $18 for your ticket. So it was $5 a ticket to get in, cheap popcorn, cheap drinks, and just had a blast. And they cackled the entire movie. It was so fun. There was a dad behind us, and he leaned over and he was like, was it their first time watching? And I was like, yeah, it's their first time. And he's like, it was so fun to watch their reactions from behind, them just watching the movie. And I was like, thanks, I hope we weren't too disrupted. He's like, no, that's what this is for, you know, to do this. Evie had a formal recital for her violin and did so good. Mm-hmm. She smashed it. Chris's mom came in for the recital and for Christmas Eve and got to come to my family's Christmas while she was in. Let's see. I learned how to make brie, and it was what we ate last night. It's
great. I don't like brie all that much. Like, it's okay.
I love brie.
It was really good. So much.
And so it tasted like brie. We got to try it, and it actually tasted like brie. It's a little salty. I got to tweak it some, but it was really yummy. Chris took me on a date. We've been planning it for a while. And in Cincinnati, I think the group is called Fever, and I know it happens in other cities too. But we went to the one in Cincinnati where they do a candlelight concert. And so we got to go listen to a strings trio play traditional Christmas music by candlelight, and it was delightful. That was a really good date. We had a good time.
I think that was on my birthday. The 19th? No?
I think it was right before your birthday. I think it was the 18th. It was close. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was close to your birthday. And thankfully, the roads were clear. because I feel like we had snow that we were either getting ready to have or something.
We didn't.
I
don't know about you guys.
Anyway, snow's been an issue this year. It's been...
When even you're done with snow, it should say a lot.
We've had a lot of snow this year. Which
Too
I'm
much.
glad for the kids. Like, they needed a year with a big snow. Like, they've not gotten to really experience a big snow year. And so that's been fun, but it has been a lot of snow. We had the entire first week of January, we just canceled all of our plans because we couldn't get anywhere. Our county was in the red for 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
Like, red travel ban. You're not allowed to get out for 5 days. Because we just have too many county roads that they couldn't get to, and it was just nasty.
Mm-hmm.
Because you had snow, and then ice, and then snow again on everything. So, that's a little ahead, because that was in January, but still. Hard thing in December, we had a lot of deaths, and I don't go over them a lot, but one of our friends, her daughter was battling brain cancer. And we had found out that it had come back, I think it was May or June, and it was inoperable, and they were doing radiation treatments to do the best they could to fight it, but she lost her battle right before Christmas. And we went to her funeral and visitation the week after Christmas, and just there's been a lot of hard around, and I'm not going to tell you their names, obviously that's their business, but if you think about them, please pray for their family, because she was the youngest of 3. She was the same age as my youngest, so it just, and they were friends with their family, beautiful, beautiful people, and just, it hit our entire community, because their school is fabulous. Their school was doing fundraisers for them, doing awareness for them. We had t-shirts for them. Super accommodating for all of the kids with dealing with the stress and missing days and things like that. And the whole town knows their family, basically. To the point that her funeral needed to be in a gymnasium.
Oh, wow.
Because they genuinely had that much attendance. And just still reeling from that one. Like, it just doesn't seem real for our family. I'm sure it seems too real for them. But for us, it's just so wild that that's done and finished and she's gone.
Mm-hmm. So,
hold your people tight, guys. Just hold your people tight. I don't know what else to say.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a hard finish to 2024 to do that, but we got to start into January well. We went to go see another family that we're friends with in Shepherdsville, and had a good time with them. Jelly much?
Okay, I didn't realize you had this many friends. First of all,
I'm a popular person, okay?
you're not supposed to be. You are homeschooled.
That's a myth. That homeschoolers aren't popular. We're the socially awkward people who wave like this, according to one of my sister's ex-boyfriends. He didn't know she was homeschooled. And so they were hanging out. No, it was his friend. So she brought home this guy and his friend, and she was dating the guy, and the friend just had come along, and for some reason homeschooling had come up, and he was just ragging and razzing homeschoolers, and this one homeschooler that he knew who was so awkward, and he was like, I would see him across the room, and instead of being like a normal person and coming over and talking to me, he'd be like this, straight in the air. Like, that's how he would wave to me to try to get my attention. And it's going like this, like smacking him in the leg, like trying to get him to shut up. And he does not catch the hint, and eventually she just goes, yeah, that happens. You know we're all homeschooled, right? Like, a bunch of the siblings were at the table, and he just and just completely shut down and didn't talk the rest of the time. But it's now the joke between my siblings whenever we see each other, that this is our greeting to each other, like this really awkward straight in the air, the homeschool wave is what we've now titled it.
And it's kind of funny when you think about the fact that, like, oh, he was talking about how, like, homeschoolers don't understand the social cues. Mm-hmm. And he was picking up on none of the social cues.
Didn't get any of the social cues going around that table. Agreed. I always think it's funny where people are like, oh, homeschoolers are weird. And I was like, didn't you go to school with any weird kids in public school?
I was the weird kid in public school. Thank you.
And you turned out so well because of it.
I mean, homeschooling now, so.
Switching the story. So yeah, we got to go see our friends in Kentucky that weren't your Kentucky friends. We have lots of friends in Kentucky. Like, lots of people that we love in Kentucky. I never really thought about it until I was like, oh yeah, we're going to go see our friends in Kentucky. And Mom and Dad were like, oh, you mean Shane and Amanda? And I was like, no. Our other friends.
Do you mean AJ?
Right, do you mean AJ?
Kirk?
Who's in Kentucky? Like, yeah, all these other people are in Kentucky. No. Actually, it's another group of people. So that was fun because Eb and their son, he's an only child, and they are just terrific buddies. And I feel like Ed needs buddies that, like, are his age and he can connect with like that. And Eb got these gel blaster guns for Christmas, and none of us want to play with him. We all refuse. We're like, we don't want you to shoot us. No. I was like, you can take them and go play with your friend. And because he's the one who introduced Eb to gel blasters. So he took them down. They had an epic battle, and he brought his crossbow, and they got to shoot the crossbow at the targets. And they have an old lawnmower that they just drove in circles and just did boy stuff and had a great time. And then, like we talked about earlier, we've had the snowpocalypse.
Done.
And it's still snowing right now as we speak.
It's not fun. Snow is not fun. You know my favorite thing for year 2024, though?
Okay, go for it.
In January, you came to see me. In February, you didn't get to come, but Chris and 2 out of 3 of the children came to see me, and we're here like the last day of February, first 3 days of March.
Yeah, they came at the end of February.
Yeah.
Stayed.
You came to Louisville to see me in April. Then there was May and June that sucked. July, you come to see me. August was terrible.
We had the wedding in August.
No, September.
AJ.
Yes. We saw each other at the end of August.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later in September. And then you came to visit me in October. We came to visit you in November. So we saw each other 9 months out of the year.
Yeah. Ed was counting it too. He was like, Mom, we've almost made it 12 months. I was like, I know, isn't it great?
First time that's ever happened.
It is, yeah. We've got to see each other way more this year in person than we usually do.
Yeah. Well, now we've seen each other in January.
We're going to start it all over again.
So,
yeah. That's as nutshelled as I could get my year.
I still don't feel like it was that bad. I don't feel like it was that long.
My voice says it was long. Also, me talking loud at the microphone, I think, is making it feel longer, but that's okay. So yeah, that was our year. I feel like, and I almost hate to say it out loud, but I have felt even since like probably last November, and this is going to sound a little arrogant even maybe, but I just feel like the Lord is telling us, like, this is going to be a good year. Like, this is the start of good. And kind of the start of restoring some things in this year and kind of the start of reaping some things that we've been tending and planting for a long time. And I'm trying to just keep walking in that attitude this year. I know we're going to talk about next time kind of what's next, you know, what are we looking forward to. But just kind of to even spark that conversation. That's how I'm feeling this year. Like I don't want to keep looking back at the hard things the last few years and looking more forward in anticipation of this is going to be good. We're walking into good. We're walking in good.
Good.
So,
yeah. Well, good.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Yes.
And catching up with us. And like we said, next time we're going to look forward.
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
I don't know. I haven't even looked at our schedule in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, I knew we were going to do these.
Mm-hmm.
Let me pull up my drive real quick. Switch to Unvarnished. Yeah, so what are we excited about to round out this month?
Mm-hmm.
Then, like, the adoption story.
Yes.
Our book club, Habits of the Household.
Yes.
Yeah. So, the next couple weeks are going to be fun. Still have another catch-up to do in March.
Mm-hmm.
Then again in April.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were just talking, like, homeschool conventions and our irritation.
Yeah.
With options. But it'll be okay. So, thank you guys so much. And Amanda for setting us up. And Shane, thank you for getting us set up. He helped us get our tech set this time so that we could film just in the same window. But I hope that you have a beautiful time enjoying your unvarnished life this week. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.